Hey guys, how you doing? Today we're gonna do the Avid of Cyber. I am in charge of day 15, and day 15 is my favorite because we're gonna be covering Active Directory today. That's gonna be fun. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen and go over that. And obviously, don't forget to join TryHackMe Avid of Cyber for December. They have a lot of great stuff coming up. Plus, you win free prizes, right? I want to take advantage of that. So, without further ado, let me share my screen and go over day 15. All right. Give me a second. All right, here we go. So today is day 15, and it says be ever so envious. There's no place like domain controller. So ahead of SOCMIS, the team decided to do a routine security check on one of their Active Directory domain controllers. Upon some quick auditing, the team noticed something was off. Could it be the domain controller has been breached? With a sweat on their brows, the SOC team smashed the glass and hit the panic alarm. There's only one person who can save us. Learning objectives. Learning about the structures of Active Directory. Learn about common Active Directory attacks. Investigate a breach against an Active Directory. Connecting to the machine. Before moving forward, review the questions in the connection card shown below. So X means that's not available, and checkmark means obviously that's available. Do I need to start the attack box today? No. Do I need to start a VM today? Yes. Is there a split screen available? Yes. Is there a direct link available? No. Am I given credentials to connect directly to a VM with RDP, VNC, or SSH? Yes, that is available. All right, so it says here, click the green Start Machine button to start the virtual machine in split view. The VM should be fully loaded in 2 minutes. All right, let's do that real quick. All right, looks like it's loading. And I have to scroll down. Give me a second. Okay, so if the VM is not visible, use the blue show split screen. Yep. At the top of the page, the credentials to connect to the machine directly use RDP have been provided below. Remember, you need to connect to the TryHackMe VPN to do so. Introducing Active Directory. Before diving into Active Directory, let us understand how network infrastructures can be mapped out and ensure that access to resources is well managed. This is typically done through directory services, which map and provide access to network resources within an organization. The lightweight directory access protocol, or LDAP, forms the core of directory services. It provides a mechanism for accessing, managing directory data to ensure that searching for and retrieving information about subjects and objects, such as users and computers and groups, is quick. Active Directory, or AD, is therefore a directory service at the heart of most enterprise networks that store information about objects in a network. The associated objects can include users, groups, computers, printers. Users are individual accounts representing people or services. Groups are collections of users or other objects, often with specific permissions. Computers are machines that belong to the domain governed by AD policies. Printers and other resources, network accessible devices or services. The building blocks of AD agriculture include domains, logical groupings of network resources such as users, computers, and services. They serve as the main binary for AD administration and can be identified by their domain component and domain controller name. Everything inside a domain is subject to the same security policies and permissions. Organizational units, OUs. OUs are containers within a domain that help group objects based on departments, locations, or functions for easier management. Administrators can apply group policy settings to specific OUs, allowing more granular control of security settings or access permissions. So obviously, you have what's called organizational unit, or OU. you separate departments, whether it's finance, HR, IT. You create separate OUs, and then you could do group policy and then actually give out certain permissions to certain OUs in your organization in Active Directory, which is why we create OUs, if that makes sense. A forest, a collection of one or more domains that share a standard schema, configuration, and global catalog. The forest is a top-level container in AD. Trust relationship. Domains within a forest and across forces can establish trust relationships that allow users in one domain to access resources in another, subject to permission. Combining all these components allow us to establish a distinguished name DN that an object belongs to within AD. The structured name would be as follows: DN, CN Mayor, Malware, OU Management, DC, Wareville, DC TryHackMe or THM. Core Active Directory components. Active Directory contains several key components that allow it to provide a wide range of services. Understanding these components will give one clear picture of how AD supports administrative and security operations. Domain controllers are the servers that host Active Directory services. They store the AD database and handle authentication and authorization requests, such as logging in users or verifying access to resources. Multiple DCs can exist within a domain for redundancy. When changes are made to AD, such as adding users or updating passwords, these changes are replicated across all DCs, ensuring that the directory remains consistent. Global Catalog. Global Catalog, or GC, is a searchable database within AD that contains a subset of information from all objects in the directory. This allows users and services to locate objects in any domain in the forest, even if those objects reside in different domains. LDAP, Light Right Directory Access Protocol. AD uses this protocol to query and modify the directory. The protocol allows for fast searching and retrieving of information about objects such as users, computers, and groups. And we have Kerberos authentication. The default authentication protocol used by AD provides secure authentication by using tickets rather than passwords. Besides all that, as you can see on the right-hand side, my VM is up and running. So we're going to keep going over this. We're almost done. Group policy. One of Active Directory's most powerful features is group policy, which allows administrators to enforce policies across the domain. Group policies can be applied to users' computers to enforce policies, software deployment, firewall settings, and more. Group policy objects are containers that hold these policies. A GPO can be linked to an entire domain, an OU, or a site, given the flexibility in applying policies. Let us say that McSkitty wants to ensure that all users with Wareville SOC follows a strict password policy enforcing minimum password lengths and complexity rules. Here is how it would be done. Using the run window open group policy manager from the server by typing in gpmc.msc, which we should actually do that and copy that actually. So let's do run. Let's do gpmc.msc and enter. And let's see what comes up. Group policy is there. The domain is there actually. Right-click your domain and select create a GPO in this domain and link it here. Name that new GPO password policy. We're not going to do that, obviously. It's just showing you that you can open it up. Edit the group policy by navigating the computer configurations, policies, and Windows settings, security settings, account policies, password. So group policy is, I'm not sure if you've ever gone to a library and you log into a computer and it says terms of agreement. You cannot do this on this computer. You cannot do that on this computer. So group policy actually has a terms of agreement. With group policy as well, you could change a wallpaper. So for example, a computer is managed by IT. That specific computer has a wallpaper that is about that company. It could be a big financial firm. It could be whatever. Group policy allows you to do that. Same thing with group policy, which a lot of people that are wondering, like, why can't I use the same password? So you could actually set up group policy that they cannot use the same password, and the password length has to be 12 characters or more, which is actually what they're talking about here in this room, actually, funny or not. So If you go into the settings, you could set up a password length, which is 12 characters. You could enforce password history, which is 10 passwords. You could do maximum password range, which is 90 days. And then password must be complexity requires enable. So what does that? What does maximum password range mean? Like basically, passwords could be set in a standard where you have to change your password after a certain amount of days. And I know it's super annoying, but for cybersecurity purposes, we do that. Your password is only good for a certain amount of days, and then you have to change your password again. All that is done by group policy, if that makes sense. All right. So click OK, then link the GPO to the domain or specific where you want to target. This policy will now be applied across the domain, ensuring all users meet these password requirements. And you can see on the screen, if I click on it even more, you could see that the minimum password length is 12 characters and the enforced password history is 10 passwords remembered. And nothing else is defined, right? So these are like common Active Directory attacks. Remember I talked about golden ticket attacks, silver ticket attacks? Like I made videos on Active Directory attacks. And TryHackMe, you have a great section on this, which makes sense, right? So adversaries are always looking for ways to breach and exploit Active Directory environments to destabilize and cause havoc to organizations. Working with glitch to secure SOC Mist requires us to know common attacks and their mitigation measures, right? So we have a golden ticket attack. This actually allows attackers to exploit the Kerberos protocol and impersonate any account on AD by forging a ticket granting ticket, TGT, by compromising the KRP-TGT account and using its password hash. The attackers gain complete control over the domain for as long as the forged ticket remains valid. The attack requires 4 critical pieces of information to be successful. 1, fully qualified domain name of the domain, set of the domain, username of an account to impersonate, and the KRP-TGT account password hash. So 4 things are required for that. Detection for this type of attack involves monitoring for unusual activities involving the KRP-TGT account. Event ID 4768, look for TGT requests for high privilege accounts. And event ID 4672, this logs when special privileges such as SETCB privilege are assigned to a user. Another type of attack is called hash the hash. And this is a really interesting one. This type of attack steals the hash of a password. It can be used to authenticate to services without needing an actual password. And this this is possible because of NTLM protocol allows authentication based on password hashes. Key way to mitigate this attack are enforcing strong password policies, conducting regular audits on account privileges, or implementing multi-factor authentication across the domain. And then Kerberosing is an attack targeting Kerberos in which the attacker requests service tickets for accounts with service principal names or SPNs, extracts the tickets and password hashes, and attempt to crack them offline to retrieve the plain text password. Mitigation for this type of attack involves ensuring that the service accounts are secure with strong passwords, therefore implementing secure policies across the AD would be the defense for that one. Then there is pass the ticket. In a pass the ticket attack, attackers steal Kerberos tickets from a compromised machine and use them to authenticate as a user or service whose ticket was stolen. This attack can be detected through monitoring for suspicious logins using event ID 4768 TGT request, especially if your user is logged in from an unusual location or device. Additionally, event ID 4624 successful login will reveal tickets being used for authentication. And last but not least, if they get into your group policy, they can do some malicious attempt in your GPO. God forbid they get to your actual server, they will have a party with your GPO. So you got to be careful with that, right? Adversaries are known to abuse group policy to create persistent, privileged access accounts and distribute and execute malware by setting up policies that mimic software deployment across entire domains with escalating privileges across the domain. Remember, before I even go further, remember I said that if they set up a GPO, that GPO will affect a lot of machines. So you got to be careful with this, right? If there's a hacker, they get on your domain controller, they get on that GPO, they could push out a bunch of malware and malicious stuff if they wanted to, right? So with escalated privileges across the domain, attackers can create GPOs to accomplish goals at scale including disabling core security software, features such as firewalls, antivirus security updates, and logging. Additionally, scheduled tasks can be created to execute malicious scripts or exploitation data from affected devices across the domain. To mitigate against the exploitation of group policy, GPOs need to be regularly audited for unauthorized changes. Strict permissions and procedures for GPO modification should be enforced. And then this is the last attack called the skeleton key attack, which attackers install a malware backdoor to log into an account using a master password. The legitimate password for each account would remain unchanged, but attackers can bypass it using the skeleton key password. And then here is an investigation of Active Directory breach. So you could use your PowerShell and elevate your rights to see if anyone's messing with anyone's trying to do some malicious attempt, if that makes sense. So as previously discussed in this task, group policy is a means to distribute configurations and policies to enroll devices in the domain. For attackers, group policy is a lucrative means of spreading malicious scripts to multiple devices. Reviewing group policy is a great investigation step. In this section, we will use PowerShell to audit our GPOs. First, we will use a get-gpo module to list all GPOs installed on the domain controller. And you see here, they ran that command. And I'm going to close out group policy for a second. We'll go back to this later. And they have the domain name, creation time, modification time. It looks like a group policy is set up for wallpaper, as you can see here, and set the wallpaper for every domain. So that's basically what the setup right here. This would allow us to look for out-of-place GPOs. We export a GPO to an HTML file for further investigation to make it easier to see what configurations the policy enforces. For this example, we will export the set wallpaper of GPO. Please note this is a demonstration for GPO isn't present on the practical machine for today's task. So I'm just showing you a hypothetical example of, exporting a GPO. And that's basically what it is. And, I'll show you how to do that later on. It should be fun. I'll show you how to do that with our GPOs. So then when opening HTML file in the browser, we are presented with an overview such as when the policy was created and modified, when devices, users, and GPO applies to, the permissions over the GPO, the user or computer configurations that it enforces. And if you click on this, like I can click on this one, but if I click on this one, it gives you more information. And it tells you more information about the wallpaper. And it says that wallpaper is it's at C drive thm.jpg. So this is a JPEG file. It's a picture. So anyone that joins the domain of this computer or joins the domain of this specific domain controller, they get access to that wallpaper automatically. It's enforced on the computer. The wallpaper is enforced on the computer, and the wallpaper style is set to center. It's not full screen, it's center. It's just in the middle of the computer screen, if that makes sense. All right, from the screenshot above, we could see that the policy sets the desktop wallpaper device using the image located at C TryHackMe JPEG on the domain controller. Domains are naturally likely to have many GPOs. We can use the same get-gpo module with a bit of PowerShell food to list only those GPOs that were recently modified. This is a handy snippet because it highlights policies that were recently modified, perhaps by an attacker. So here's an example of a command you could run, and it will tell you all the modifications that were created through GPO. So one was created at 12:19:28 p.m. Default domain policy, control policy, 12:17. And then there was a wallpaper set at 1:01. So that's basically what this is, right? And we have event viewer, and event viewer is important because you could see a lot of logs and a lot of activities when you go to event viewer, which we will do a walkthrough on event viewer. So this is super duper important. All right. Windows come packaged with event viewer. This invaluable repository stores a record of system activity, including security events, service behaviors, and so forth. For example, with the security tab of event viewer, we could see the history of user logins attempts, log offs, and the screenshot below shows a record of a user CM Natic attempting to log into the device, and he's trying to log in. We get an event ID of 4648 login order success. And the user is right there. I can't really highlight it, but he's right there. And it says the account domain is right there. Where view is right there. All right. All categories of events are given an event ID. The table below provides notable event IDs for today's task. So we have 4624. User account has logged on. 4625. User account failed to log on. 4672. Special privileges of SETCB privilege has been assigned to a user. 4768. A TGT Kubernetes ticket was requested for a high privilege account. And here you could do auditing, user auditing, basically valuable user accounts are valuable and often successful methods of attack. You can use event viewer's ID to view user events in PowerShell to order their status. Attack methods such as password spring will eventually result in user accounts being locked out depending on the domain controller's lockout policy. To view all lockout accounts, you could use the search-AD account module, applying for some filters to show information such as the last time the user had a successful login. Search-AD account lockout, and this is more information about it. Additionally, a great way to quickly view the user accounts our user accounts present on a domain as well as this group membership is by using the get-AD user module demonstrated below. And it shows you some accounts here. We have an administrator account. We have the KRPGC account, which is there. We have TryHackMe there. We have the user account David, James, new account, and CM Netic is there as well. And then here is an option or the ability to view PowerShell history and logs, which is super duper important. PowerShell, like Bash or Linux, keeps a history of the commands inputted into the session. Reviewing these can be a fantastic way to see recent actions taken by a user account on the machine. On the Windows server, this is the history file with location. So it's app data, Microsoft, Windows, PowerShell, PS, readline, console history, or console host _ history. And yeah, you can open that up as Notepad. Same right here. You can open it up as a Notepad to view it. And this is what they try to run. You scroll down. Additional logs are recorded for every PowerShell process executed on the system. These logs are located within the event viewer under Application Service Log, Microsoft Windows PowerShell. Operation, also known as Application Service Log, Windows PowerShell. The logs have a wealth of information useful for incident. So, like, if you're trying to see who ran PowerShell commands, you could go into Event Viewer and see it on your actual server. That's basically what this is saying, if that makes sense. All right. Practical. Your task for today is to investigate Well-Veril's SOCMOS Active Directory controller for suspected breach. Answer the questions below to confirm the details of the breach. Use the security tab within Event Viewer to answer questions 1 and 2. All right, we're going to do that. So I'm going to click on Event Viewer. And I know, based on what we read, is Windows Log Security to get that information. And I'm going to double check just in case. Windows Log Security, yes, that is the right information. So I'm going to go in here. The logs are popping up for me. And logs popping up for me. And we're going to hit complete for that one. And what I'm going to do is I am going to copy and paste this person, glitch malware. And I'm going to do find. And I'm going to do find next. It's asking me on what day was glitch malware last logged in. So they logged in at 11/7/2024. So the answer for the first one is going to be, or second one rather, excuse me, would be 07/11/2024. Here's the answer for that one. And it says, what event ID shows a login of glitch _ malware? Same thing. We could do the same thing and put his name in there or whoever this person is. Find next. And then click find next again. Find next again. Find next again. So they logged in, and I found the login right here. And they logged in at 4624. 11.7. So the answer to that one, it has to be 4624. That's the answer for that one. Let me type that in real quick. 4624. And that is the right answer. And it says, read the PowerShell history of administrator account. What was the command that was used to emulate Active Directory users? Remember, we went over this just now, right? So if you scroll all the way back up, this is the path directory. So I'm going to minimize this. And before I even minimize that, I want to show you another way to look at someone's account. Like, for example, this account, glitch malware. I want to show you how he last logged in using the command line. So we're going to show you how to do that real quick. Give you like a nice little trick. But like you can add it in the back of your pocket in case this ever comes up in your work environment. So if you type net user and you type his name, whoever that person is, /domain, it will give you more information about that person. It will say password last set 11.7, password changeable 11.8, last logged in 11.7. So if you type that net user account, the username space /domain, it will tell you when they last logged in. The important part about this piece of information is the password set to expire never. But in a work environment, if you're working with executives, it's good to know, because God forbid they go on vacation, they come back and they can't log in, right? It's probably because their password expired. So you're going to have to manually reset their password. So if you know how to use this command, basically you're saving yourself a hassle of problems dealing with people that are going on vacation, and also dealing with problems if someone cannot log in for some weird reason. Or you have someone that's asking you, I'm going on vacation. Do I need to change my password? God forbid, right? Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. This is good information for that. So you could type that in. I also like net accounts as well. This is another one, net accounts. But I was just going to show you those two commands right now. So let's go back to this. And basically, for those logs, right, we have to go into %, app data, %. I'm going to click the file folder, right? And we're going to go to Microsoft. And we're going to go to Windows. We're going to go to PowerShell, PS read line. And we're going to open this up real quick. We're going to open it with our notepad. And as you can see, the answer to that question, which is the answer for that one is get-ad user filter. So if we copy and paste this, that would be the answer for that one. And that is correct. And now it's asking me a question about PowerShell log files located in application service logs Windows Shell for that glitch malware set password. So that's not that hard. So if we go here, I'm going to minimize that for a second. Go back here, application service logs. And we're going to open up Windows PowerShell. Sorry, I didn't mean to click on that one. Windows PowerShell. And we do fine. I'm going to change that to password. And as you can see, that is not the right one. So to find that password for that, all you literally got to do is put find in password. That's how I got the password for this one. And I found it. After a few attempts, we found it. So the password is super secret password with the @ and exclamation point. That is the password for that one. How do I know that was the answer? I literally just click on hint. And it says use the find option to search for the word password. So that's what I did. So this one is going to be super secret, capital P, sign. Super secret password. Here we go. Excellent. And then we have review group policy presence on the machine. So remember we went over that command, and the command that we ran, it actually stays there when you run it for the first time. So gpmc.msc, it actually shows you group policy. So we're gonna go over that real quick. Open up group policy. It's asking about group policy on the present on the machine. Review the group policies present on the machine. What is the name of the installed GPO? Right? The other one, we found the password. This one's asking about GPO. So what we could do is we could open up that for us. We could open up that domain. And the domain is here. Open up that group policy object. And the answer to that one is actually this one right here. It's actually malicious GPO. And if I right click on it, rename, copy, and Control V or copy and paste, right? Hit submit. That is the right answer. And I am done with this room. So this room's completely done. So yeah, that's it. And like I said, Active Directory is vital because like I showed you one way to look at passwords and accounts and last login. You could do it one other way. I'll show you real quick how to do that, and I'll let you go after that. But basically, you do advanced features by clicking view and advanced features. And if you go into users and you go into that glitch malware user that we're looking at when he last logged in, and if you go to attributor editor, just to show you real quick, you scroll all the way down. Last login was 11/7/2024. So that's another way of doing it. And that's it for me. I am going to terminate this machine. And I'm going to call it a day after that. All right, guys. That's it for me. That's all I got for you. With that being said, I hope you guys have a good one. Happy holidays and take care. And hopefully this helps you out. Later.